was all right actually in the end. I think we both had our strengths and also our weaknesses, but we sort of balanced each other out and got on really well in terms of our fitness.
Episode 318, a South America bike tour with Anna McNuff and Faye Shepherd, Part 2. You're listening to the Adventure Sports Podcast, brought to you by 180 Tech. We talk with adventurers from around the globe to bring you the inspiration and motivation you need to get started in the outdoors or to keep you moving if you're already there. Now here's your host, Kurt Linville.
Different people that have chosen to go on major adventures together, they always have a perspective in the beginning and then obviously during the adventure itself. And then when they look back, on the adventure, they all have a different perspective a little bit about how they manage the relationship, because it's hard when you're putting yourselves through such difficult times. It makes people really real, really raw. You can't fake it anymore. You're going to be who you are, right?
Yeah.
And so different people have had different strategies on how just to get along. And I'm curious, did you two decide anything in advance on how to manage disagreements?
Not really in advance. Not that I can remember. I mean, Anna and I, we knew each other. Obviously, we met each other in New Zealand, and we hung out, beforehand. But we weren't super close before. But I think Anna hit the nail on the head really when I sort of asked her, like, well, why me really? Like, why did you call me and ask if I wanted to go? And I think if you know that the core values of someone is generally good, like I know Anna's a good person, then the rest, the peripheral stuff doesn't really matter, and you can make it work. And so with her saying that really hit home. Like, I know Anna's a good person. And the rest doesn't really matter. But I definitely learned a lot of, like, just being with somebody else, like Anna said, like I would massively avoid conflict beforehand and just put my head down. And if something annoyed me, I would just sort of shrink into my own little world and just let it eat away at me without saying something. And then come the end, we were just like, if something annoys us, just say, and then we sort of work it out there and then. And do you know what, that is the way it worked, and it just worked in the end, didn't it?
Yeah.
Anna, I can't imagine you would do it the same way. It seems to me, Anna, you would be all over it. Like, put this on the table. We're going to chew this right now.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Before the trip, I wasn't so like that, but I think it clocked quite early on for me. And I think I realised there was a difference between thoughts and actions. And I think, like exactly what Faye said, I think we had a good ground level that both of us knew that we weren't idiots. Like, on the inside, you're very good, kind-hearted people, and we both wanted the best for each other. And then, but there is all that peripheral stuff which drives you nuts about one. I would drive Faye nuts. My tent was an absolute pigsty, and Faye has the cleanest tent in the world, and some days I would take ages packing up, and other days Faye would take ages packing up. And Faye loves dogs, and I'm a cat person. Like, it was just all this stuff. But I think quite early on, I sort of, I remember the first few times something would annoy me, and I thought, hang on, it's not nice for either one of us to be annoyed. So actually, I think the only option is to bring it up. And I think one of our first disagreements we actually had, we were going up that 6,000 meter volcano, and it was like a sort of 4,000 meters. I literally threw my gloves on the floor. I was like, let's talk about it. And it just came out my mouth. And I think that first initial falling out and making up at 4,700 meters high, it just set the bar. And I think we just both went, actually, that wasn't that bad. I don't know. For me, I sort of thought, I hate conflict. I absolutely hate it. But I thought if it's not, I think I realised you're not respecting. You think you're respecting the other person by not saying anything, but actually you're not respecting the friendship, because the way to respect a friendship is to plow effort into it like you would your partner or your lover. You wouldn't stew with a lover for days on end, because some people might do, but you kind of want to fix it and you want to make it right. And I think I listened to a podcast while we were away that talked about a partnership being like an ecosystem, and actually it shouldn't be about one of you being right and one of you being wrong, because if one of you's right and the other one's wrong, that harms the whole ecosystem. So it's actually just about understanding what one another's saying, and normally what you're saying is, yeah, I'm hurt or I'm upset, and it comes out in a variety of forms. But I just learned so much through the trip, and I'm so grateful for what it's given me. I feel like the Dalai Lama in training after that.
I don't want to stereotype too much here, but I got to say it. I've interviewed men who have gone on adventures together, and I love your approach because let's face it, it's more about working through everything together, and it's about the relationship. But let me tell you what the guys did, because I just think it's funny in contrast. There's one couple of guys that said, well, if we can't agree on any course of action, we're going to flip a coin and do it.
Oh, yes, that was the canoers.
Right, correct.
Was it? Yes, I listened to that. I thought it was hilarious. I think we both listened to that. Did you listen to that one?
I think so, yes. Yeah, I did, yeah. We listened to many a podcast
we listened to all
on the
them,
trip.
Basically.
Yes, yeah, we did. So, yeah, I did. That was a brilliant way to solve it.
Well, and those two guys were high school students, and an epic journey. It's a beautiful, beautiful story that they have to share. But then there was another couple of guys, and their choice was, if we disagree on the course of action, we'll do whichever is the most conservative. And I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. You choose safety, right? But the point is, they pre-planned in the beginning, we're going to resolve conflict by having a rule, so we don't have to talk about it too much. And so what I'm getting from you is this is about growth in the relationship and learning how to get along as individuals.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we could not talk about it. I don't know, maybe that is a male-female thing, but I think sometimes as well, you think you've let things go and then you haven't. And I just think, you can kid yourself 1,000 times, but really you have to have got to it. And I think if you put like if you'd heard our conversations through the walls when we'd had a disagreement, it would have gone like, I love you, I'm sorry. Like that would have happened every time. It was so funny. And you could just see that kind of, like the chimp in both of us. We could both see it, I think. And it was great. But that's only because I think we were both like that. Like I said, like Faye's just amazing. She's got the most kind, amazing heart. And I think, when that's there, I mean, both, it just works out.
You too, mate. Maverick.
What you've pointed out so well. So many people think that adventures are about the physical feat, right? But by the end, the people we interview, they're all like, wow, you really climb a mountain mentally more than physically. Or, it's learning how to overcome your personal limitations. And those are more cognitive than they are physical. And so what we find with these adventures, without going into a bunch of psychobabble, but they cause us to get really real on the inside as well as on the outside.
Faye, I'm just going to say that Faye beforehand I said, when we get to the salt flats, which is this region in Bolivia, where it's the largest salt flats in the world, you might have seen the kind of crystallized salt hexagons that go on for miles and miles and miles. You can see someone coming for about half an hour in a car, and there's basically no one out there. And I said to Faye, Faye, when we get there, we're getting naked. I said, we're gonna strip naked and we're gonna cycle naked. And she was like, why? And I was like, because I know you don't want to, and so we have to do it. And we got you to do it, didn't we, Faye?
You did, yes. Yeah, you did. Like, I barely get naked to get in a shower. Seriously. I'm such a prude. It takes a lot for me to get my clothes off. And so when Anna turned and looked at me and we were on the salt flats, I was like, right, this is it. She's like, you going to do it? I was like, well, yeah, I think I am.
Okay, well, I have to ask, what did you learn from the experience?
Of getting naked and cycling.
Right.
It's not as painful as it sounds. It's extremely liberating, actually. I mean, just we were cycling around in big circles, doing naked high flybys, just absolutely laughing our heads off, really, just thinking this is just ridiculous, but so much fun. But it was just incredible, very liberating, and actually, nothing bad happened at all. And in fact, I just thought it was an amazing, fun experience. That it was completely harmless and a lot of fun. So,
well, we all know the 3-year-olds when they get out of the shower. They're trying to tell us there's something to this, but I don't want to dive too deep into that psychology.
I think they should send people to the salt flats to get naked as like therapy, like overcoming fears. Like, it's not that bad. Just go and do it.
Well, there aren't many places left on Earth where you can do that without fear of being watched. So
that was it. I thought, if not now, then when?
Yeah, we had a lot of fun on the salt flats for sure. I got stung by a scorpion, which turned out to be fine actually. But I mean, the process of being stung by a scorpion was quite hilarious. In the fact that Anna and I had, Anna is a meticulous planner, aren't you, Anna? You're very good at planning. Plan. You do like a good plan, and I fly by the seat of my pants a lot of the time. But we hadn't looked into whether there are dangerous animals. Really, we thought there's no scary mammals, and that'll be fine. But I ended up stepping on a scorpion when we were packing away our tents just before we were about to cycle onto the salt flats. And I felt this pain, and I looked down at my foot, and there was a scorpion stuck on the end of my toe. And I'm there going, oh my gosh. And Anna comes over and is like, oh my gosh, what's happened? I said, I've been stung by a scorpion. She says, okay, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to Google, are scorpions dangerous?
It's good 3G in Bolivia. There's good data connection.
Yeah, there was data.
There was. We were near a town.
Yeah, and so Anna you were Googling away, weren't you? And looking, and then she was like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, what? She's like, I've just lost 3G signal. I'm like, that's not, oh my God, is this going to kill you? But thankfully it wasn't, life threatening. It hurt a lot, but it went away. So, and then I get the cool story that I've been stung by a scorpion. I'm delighted with that.
Wow.
That scorpion, apparently, I found out it only harms old people or small children. They're the only ones that unfortunately ends in fatality. So we were fine. We were in neither category. You just got a really hard toe, didn't you? Your toe went really hard.
I did get a hard toe. Yeah, it was quite impressive.
Well, most scorpions aren't that venomous, but there are some that can be pretty nasty.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And you just see in the movies, don't you? You just think, oh my God, it's a scorpion. And I just felt so stupid at that point. I thought, how, and if I do a talk about it now, I'll say to someone in the audience, what would you do if your friend got stung by a scorpion right now? And they sort of say, I don't know. And I said, that was me. That was exactly me. You don't think to research that kind of stuff.
No, we look back and we're like head in hands moment. It's like, how could we have done this? But you live and learn, don't you? Fortunately, in this instance.
Well, you do know a lot of people like to eat scorpions.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really?
Have you eaten one, Kurt? Have you ever eaten a scorpion?
No, not a scorpion. I've heard they're very tasty, but I don't know. I'm not that curious.
Oh, no, nor am I. You'd have to have a lot of ketchup with that, I think.
Or sugar, something.
Oh, sugar, something.
But Faye, you could get your revenge. You really could.
I could, but this was a tiny little thing. It was like, a what's-it size piece of,
Well, I understand the smaller ones are the more dangerous, so...
Oh, there you go.
It was a ninja.
That makes me feel even more gnarly. Yes.
Well, let's do a little bit of sharing the trip that maybe the listeners want to know what the scenery was like or the weather was like. So let's start with Anna. Generally, what was the scenery like?
Oh, just incredible. I cannot explain how beautiful and changeable it was. So in Bolivia, you've got jungle kind of... it looks like that, and everything's green and lush and humid, and you're eating fresh mangoes. And then we went out onto the salt flats, and that just looks like everything's covered in snow and is salty and just amazing. And then from there you go into the lagunas area and into the Atacama Desert, and there's all this red sand and barren volcanic landscapes. And then you get again back into lush areas of Argentina, which is just green and lots of farmland, and then down into Patagonia, which is just glaciers and peppermint coloured rivers and the most pure blue lakes you've ever seen, snow-capped mountains. It's just, for scenery, it beats anywhere I've ever been. I mean, the US is incredible for scenery, but for sheer variety and for places where no one else is and you're on a dirt track by yourself for days on end, just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. The world is just beautiful.
Well, I was following your trip on Instagram, and the pictures are still there. So, Faye, how can people find your Instagram? And then Anna, what's yours?
So I'm at Faye, which is FAYE_Shepherd, SHEPHERD. And then Anna?
I'm at Anna McNuff. It's catchy. It's an alias I go by. Yeah, I'm just all my name all together.
So not too hard to figure out.
I think mine should come with a health warning. It's got a naked cycling picture on there.
Oh no!
Yeah, everyone.
Yes.
But this is the thing people would say to us. They'd say, "God, your pictures are amazing, and how did you take such great pictures?" And honestly, out there, you just put the camera and you point and shoot, and it just comes out phenomenal. I mean, it's a place to take the camera. It's just really, absolutely loved it. And sometimes we look at a picture and go, "That looks even better in the picture than it actually is." This is amazing.
Fall is the best time to start thinking snow, and Bentgate Mountaineering is ready to help you get prepared for your epic winter. Come check out the latest in alpine touring, telemark, NTN, and splitboarding gear. Brands like Black Crows, DPS, Dynafit, G3, Icelantic, K2, Technica Blizzard, Arc'teryx, Mammoth, Solomon, Volley, Never Summer, Jones, and BCA. And you need to be safe out there. Bentgate has the latest in avalanche safety gear from beacons to airbags, and they are ready to help you educate yourself on snow safety. You can also rent skis, boots, splitboards, beacons, shovels, and probes at Bentgate. What's more, they host free demo ski days at local resorts so you can try out the latest gear. Stop by Bentgate in Golden, Colorado, or go to bentgate.com to check out your new gear as well as to get updates on all of their events. Well, Faye, how about you take the weather then? What kind of weather did you experience?
Again, we experienced the extremes. Like we went from the 45-degree heat and the dryness right down to like when we were at altitude at night, and it just plummeted to around minus 17 degrees. So I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit actually. But it was freezing. Like our water bottles would be frozen. Inside the tent, it would all be frosty. And then we didn't have, I don't think we had any, I think we had 2 days of rain for the first 4 months, which is a cyclist's dream, isn't it? It's just lovely being able to pack away a dry tent and then get out a dry tent in the evening. And then we hit sort of southern Chile and Patagonia, where it rained quite a lot. So that's when we had to get used to damp camping, or damping as we like to call it.
Damping.
Because everything is just wet. Your clothes are wet. You put on wet cycling shoes the next day. And then right down at the bottom, we had some snow going over the peaks. And then actually on the last night, we spent a long time going up and over this final mountain pass. And it was snowing at the top. And we put on all our layers, but as you go down, obviously you're not pedaling, and so you're not generating any energy and any heat. So by the time you get to the bottom, you're just freezing cold, like absolutely freezing cold. And Anna had chilblains before, actually, like a week or two before, because we'd gotten really cold. And that night we were like, the chilblains are not coming back, so we set up our tent. And we had this dog that was hanging around, but that's a different story. That's a different story. But we couldn't really cook our meal because this dog was outside, and I was just in all my clothes, in my sleeping bag, trying to warm up. And I heard this noise from next door, in the tent next door, which was obviously Anna. I heard, "Oh, this is so good! This is so good!" And what she'd done, she'd cooked her chickpeas in the over the stove, and then eaten the chickpeas, and then there was this chickpea water left that was warm, and she had put her toes in this tiny pot. So I can just imagine her of warm chickpea water. She's like, mate, this is so good. You've got to do this. And like, I'm there freezing in the tent, just hearing these noises. She's like, oh, I was like, no, I'm not getting out of the tent. I'm not getting out of my sleeping bag. Next thing, Anna comes over next door with this chickpea water that has had Anna's feet in it. That by this stage, probably like 3 or 4 days sans shower, and she brings over this rather smelly pot of warm water, and I thought, that's it, that's friendship right there.
Yeah, that's friendship. I agree, that's friendship.
And then and then I obviously do the same, but yeah, no massive extremes of temperatures and all sorts of weathers really, so we had to carry all sorts of kit for it, but we managed, I think.
Wow. Well, that really is extreme. I mean, 45 degrees Celsius to negative 17 Celsius. That we're talking about, 113-ish, I think, down to almost 0 Fahrenheit. So almost, it's almost the coldest and the warmest that you're going to experience on this planet. It gets a little colder. It doesn't get much warmer than that. But you had all of that, and you had to have all of the gear for those extremes right on your bike.
Yeah, I think that's why we couldn't. I mean, I think I'd like to have gone lighter, but I don't know how much lighter I could have gone. I mean, and also I was carrying my laptop with me because I was trying to edit a book while we were going. So I don't think I could have gone much lighter and not been uncomfortable. I think for me that was the thing. It's all about being comfortable in the evenings, and I certainly was never too cold. I think Faye, you had 1 or 2 nights where you were too cold, but I think that was the main thing. Yeah.
And really, like, we went bare minimum on the amount of cycle clothing we had, and going 10 days without a shower, you couldn't really go, for health reasons, you couldn't really have less than what we had in terms of cycling shorts and cycling tops, that sort of thing, because it was just it was rather smelly come day 10 without a shower.
Oh, I can imagine. That's friendship as well. That's true friendship as well.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I have to throw one tip to you that's come up on the show before. Other people may have heard it, but when you're camping and it's really cold, boil some water, put it in your water bottle, throw that in the bottom of your sleeping bag, then go to bed.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it's not nasty. It's contained.
No.
There's no chickpea soup required. So
I felt like a real survivalist when I did that. I'm like, Bear Grylls, look at me using my chickpea water.
That's awesome. How much fun is that? So we need to cover a little bit more stuff here. Anna, you mentioned you were editing the book. Is this the same book?
The book, yes. I edited the book that I just came out this summer. I was editing it a lot of nights in my tent from about 7 o'clock in the evening. Faye and I would say our goodbyes. Sometimes we'd have a little film night, or maybe not, and we'd kind of zip up our tents and go to our separate tents, and then I would prop my sleeping bag up behind my head, open my laptop, and edit my 130,000 word manuscript that I'd written and needed to come down by a fair bit. And that was a bit tiring. And then if we'd get into a town, I would just take the opportunity to sit up at a table and drink coffee all day and not move from the coffee shop. And Faye would go
and eat lemon pie.
And eat lemon pie. I ate so much lemon pie.
Lemon pie, okay.
Yeah. So yes, I edited a book while I was on the trip.
Well, tell us about the book because it just came out. Am I right?
It did, yes. It is about, it's called The Pants of Perspective. And that is pants in the American term. So they're kind of these trouser leggings that basically saved the day in my New Zealand run. So it's about me running the 3,000 kilometre, 2,000 mile Te Aroa Trail in New Zealand, where Faye and I first met. And it is the ups and the downs and the roller coaster ride that was pretty much a sort of a coming of age journey for me. And it's got a little love story in there as well. I won't spoil it for you, but there's definitely a love story. And it's not me and Faye.
Okay.
It's about my boyfriend and I.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the salt flats, right?
There's nothing to do with the salt flats in there. No.
Well, I remember, Anna, when I interviewed you the first time about your run, that you got to a point where you had sprained your ankle and you had a long way to go to get to help. and you put on your unicorn pants, rainbows and unicorns.
Yes.
And you said,
Yes.
with those pants on, how could I fail? They cheered you up, and you managed to go the distance that you needed to go, even with your injury. I guess that must be the pants of perspective.
That is the pants of perspective. Yeah, they are my secret weapon. So I had them in my bag, and I'd sprained my ankle in the middle of the bush, and I was just dazed from anywhere, and I just hit this rock bottom point, and then I basically pulled them on, and they just put everything back in perspective, because I just thought I look ridiculous. I've got a unicorn on one leg, a robot on the other, and there's a rainbow across my front. I mean, what am I doing? And I'm running a trail by myself with a stuffed toy for company. And so they put everything back in perspective. So the book is called The Pants of Perspective.
So Faye, when you met Anna in New Zealand, did she have those pants on?
I think actually no, she didn't at that time. You didn't. No. I think when you were emerging from the bush, you didn't have those pants on. But
no,
maybe you sort of knew there was a bottle of wine, and at the end of the day,
I had the ice cream, the pot of ice cream of perspective at that point.
There you go. That's it.
Well, I have to laugh, because had Anna had those pants on, would you have said hello, or would you have just run away?
I totally would have said hello. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I just had to throw that out there. I'm sorry. So The Pants of Perspective is the book. How can people get to... Oh, and by the way, I can endorse this book. Anna was kind enough to send me a copy, and I've managed to read a small chunk so far. I just got it, I think 3 days ago, Anna. It just got here.
Oh, man, it takes a while, doesn't it?
It does. The pond is not as big as it used to be, but, for book shipping rate.
And I know I could have sent you an electronic version, but I just think people need a good paperback, a little curl up with a paperback is really nice, I think.
It's nice to not have to plug it in.
I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Yeah.
Oh, I will. But I just wanted to say that the writing style is clever. It's a really fun read, and it makes me chuckle, and I'm right there with you on the adventure. I think it's the perfect book for someone who wants to know what it was really like. And so I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful book about your life experiences running New Zealand. So cool.
Yeah. Can I interject and just say it is a beautiful, beautiful book. But you do expose my big, fat, hairy lady balls, Anna. Is that what it is? Yes. Thank you for that one.
Okay.
No, it's brilliant. No,
I'm
it's
not
an incredible book. But you'll have to read it to find out more.
Wow.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. People can get it from Amazon. It's a magic little world where you buy on Amazon and it gets printed off in South Carolina and shipped to you. It's magic overnight.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's a fun book. And Anna, of course, you've done a lot of adventures. You explain in the book some of the background. We got Faye's background a little bit, and we've had your background on previous shows, but we might as well fill people in. So your parents were Olympians?
Yes, they were Olympians.
And you were following in their footsteps with crew or rowing, right?
Yes, I was, for a while.
At some point you lost your taste for it a little bit, and you decided to try some other things, but you were having quite a bit of success with that before you started the big adventures too.
Yeah, no, I was. I rowed for Great Britain for a while, for about four years. But I think it didn't quite suit my personality in the end, this sort of elite sports world. When I've got a goal, I will go for it. But I was using rowing really as a tool to try and see the world. And then I realised I was seeing it in 2-kilometre lakes. We'd get off the plane, do a regatta, and then get back on. And I think I just had this huge well of wanderlust, and there's so much sort of creativity in me that wanted to come out that wasn't really getting an outlet. And so, I ended up giving up on the Olympic dream and trying to sort of just pursue another path, really, which started with a corporate job I didn't enjoy for a while, and then eventually led me to Madcap Adventures, where I get to write and speak and take pictures and tell stories. And it's just awesome. Wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, it's really fun the way that you've developed an adventure-focused lifestyle. I don't know what else to call it, but I think that it's really fun when someone finds a way to go out there and have those life experiences. And Faye, what is your way? How do you manage all these experiences?
I've recently changed where I want to go with my life. I think on the last trip, I'd just been made redundant from my my previous job, which was a farm animal health consultant for a local college. So I was made redundant, and I thought, do you know what? As part of the mountain rescue team, I'm a medic, so a casualty carer, and I really enjoy that. I really love, being right in the thick of it all, working with the casualty, at the time in their life where they're most in need, and that is what makes me tick. And having the time to cycle through the Andes and really look at every part of my life and think, which bit am I not quite happy with? It's given me time to find out that, that's the part I'm not that happy with at the moment. And now I'm sort of working towards becoming a paramedic. So at the minute, it's working towards that goal.
Neat. I love the way that both of you, are chasing your dreams. It's so cool. Let's talk a little bit about what it takes to actually do a trip like this. I mean, this is pretty extreme. This is not just biking South America. You chose the hardest routes, and perhaps not the easiest way to do the hardest routes. But what does someone need to do if they want to experience something like this? I mean, Anna, here we are, someone that was headed for the Olympics. So we know that you're pretty fit. You ran the length of New Zealand. Well, that kind of speaks to it. You've already biked all 50 U.S. states. So, okay, everyone just says, all right, so Anna is just like super fit, whatever, right? Faye, maybe I should ask you this question. What did it take for you?
Sidelined.
What did it take for you to get prepared for a trip like this?
Actually, surprisingly little. I'm most definitely not an athlete. I enjoy walking. I cycle every now and then. But really, to prepare for this trip, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I went on like a few bike rides beforehand. I would cycle once a week, maybe like 40 miles. Really minimal preparation in terms of fitness. I just figured it would come as I was on the adventure, and actually it was one of my worries that Anna would be much fitter than I was, and that I would get left behind, or I'd feel like I was slowing Anna down. But it was all right actually in the end. I think we both had our strengths and also our weaknesses, but we sort of balanced each other out and got on really well in terms of our fitness.
This episode of the Adventure Sports Podcast is brought to you by 180tac.com. 180tac manufactures premier backpacking and emergency products. Whether you need a backpacking stove for your week-long trek on the trail or an emergency stove for your bug-out bag, we have the tools you need. Visit www.180tac.com. HydroBlue is a water filter company that was created to provide high-quality water filters at an affordable price while helping end the world water crisis. They strive to make clean water more acceptable to the outdoor adventurer and the less fortunate. Check out their website at www.hydroblu.com.
So how long did it take when you started riding to get to the point where it wasn't just pain anymore? I know in the beginning you had the altitude to deal with, getting used to heavy bicycles and just being on the bike that much. How long does it take before you're like, oh, this isn't so bad?
Oh, I don't know. I reckon like the first month probably was pretty difficult. I think it's difficult to say because the first month of the trip was extremely difficult terrain. I mean, it was massively high altitude and big levels of ascent each day. So I don't know whether that was us acclimatizing and getting slowly fitter, or if that was just really difficult terrain, and so it would have been hard if we were any fitter anyway. What do you think on that one, Anna?
Yeah, I think it was like a month to 6 weeks, and then the 6 weeks thing always rings true. From I know when I was doing like elite sports, they always said for any training to have an effect, you need to give it a 6 week run. And then I remember in New Zealand it was about the kind of 6 week point, I think, where my body went, oh, okay, I get what you're trying to do. And I feel like it was quite similar in this. Like definitely the first, I remember the first 2 weeks in South America was so uncomfortable. And you're wearing your light. We're wearing like lycra shorts, and everything just feels a bit tighter because it's just all ugh. But yeah, I think sort of a month to 6 weeks is a good amount of time before your body just suddenly goes, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, I'm ready. And it was amazing to have those days where we'd wake up and Faye, I remember there were some mornings where I was like, Faye, slow down. Like, Faye's strong. She's such a strong rider. And there would be days where I was like, I couldn't keep up in the morning. I was like, I can't do this all day. And then there would be some other days where, I'd be faster or whatever. It was,
you were really strong at the endurance, like, for sure. I mean, by the end of the day, 7 o'clock at night, I was ready to call it a day most nights. But Anna, you were like, I could probably go on for another few hours.
Yeah, I think that was different. Faye has a lot more sort of shorter, a lot of speed and strength, whereas I can't go very fast, but I can keep going for hours and hours and hours. So it was kind of finding a happy medium between the two. But that's what I love about adventures though as well. You put your body through it, and then suddenly it just adapts. Like that's what we're supposed to do as humans. It's how we work. That's amazing.
You avoided injuries enough for your bodies to adapt, and I want to point that out because sometimes people just get injured, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, Faye had a knee injury, but it was saved by some peppers.
Peppers.
Or capsicums.
Yeah, peppers to save the day.
Well, tell us that story, Faye.
It's not as exciting as the dog bite story, but I'll go for it anyway. I basically picked up, this is in Patagonia, so I think we're about 5 months into the trip, just a bit of tendonitis in my knee, and Anna was like, I know what to do, I've had this before, and she was like, we need to rest ice compression and elevation. So we were luckily just in a town in Patagonia that we bought some frozen peppers, iced my knee, then ate the peppers for dinner, and the peppers and a bit of taped up my knee, that fixed it pretty quickly. So really, apart from just a few days of tendonitis in my knee, Anna was bitten by a dog.
Oh my.
Which is pretty
I've
scary.
Got a good scar. Got a really good scar from that one. But that was probably our biggest injury. Yeah, we were holed up in a town waiting for a package to arrive, and we just decided to wait one more day and go for a little ride without any of our stuff on. And we were just turned around this ride, heading half an hour back, and this dog came out of a house barking at us. And we were quite used to it, and we had different techniques. And one of the techniques was to stop, stand your ground, and scream at it. And so I stopped, stood my ground. Faye had gone through, and this other dog came around the side of the house, kind of a short, like staffy, and he just clamped his jaws around the front of my shin and just bit down.
Oh, no.
I've never experienced pain like it. It was horrendous.
It was bad.
So then there were a couple of hospital trips, some rabies jabs, and the whole shebang.
The best bit was when we went into the first hospital. Anna's Spanish is very good, and she was definitely the Spanish speaker out of the two of us. I would attempt, but it would be pretty poor. But we looked up sort of how to say I've been bitten by a dog, and what we didn't realise was that the word for dog, which is perro, and the word for hill, which is cerro, is very similar. And so Anna, of course, went in and said, I've been bitten by a hill in Spanish. And the doctor looked at us pretty bizarrely, but no. Yeah, I think he got the gist of it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that, was it Monty Python, where The Sound of Music, the hills are alive, and the hill bit. Oh, well.
Yes.
The hill bit
me. Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, a dog bite on top of everything else, that's just totally unnecessary. Don't you agree?
I know. It's just extravagant. I mean, we've got enough good stories. I just thought I'd get another one. And I don't really, I love dogs, but that didn't do anything to help with my love of dogs, But after that, I was a bit scared of them. I've got some good scars. I've got a great scar mark from the canines in my leg.
Yeah.
Wow. Did it keep you from biking?
We rested it up, I think it was sort of a day or two, and then really it was just really swollen, so I just was having to unclip it on the rough ground because it was like all the swelling kind of bouncing around. Yeah, but I just kept an eye on it, and it was that luckily the wound wasn't too big. It was just the punctures, so it was more just the internal swelling, and it went down within a week. And it was more the scariest thing was going to the first hospital and being told I don't need to have rabies jabs, and me going away thinking I'm pretty sure I do. You know, I'd had my pre-jabs, but there was a doctor that was just misinformed, and so I eventually had to go to another hospital and lie and say I hadn't been seen, and thankfully got the right treatment. You know, and it's just one of those things where you think, I'm sure this is fine and this dog doesn't have rabies, but you know, you don't want to take that chance.
Right.
So yeah, we took the sensible option as always.
Definitely.
Well, that just wasn't fair for the two dogs to tag team you like that. One to distract you while the other one came at you.
Exactly.
It was like, do you remember like the WWE, like the Bushwhacker Boys? It reminded me of that. I thought, this is just, this is unruly.
Oh, man. And then I saw on Instagram a story about Patagonia and wanting to hike into those beautiful peaks. And somehow it turned into a crazy mad dash. What was that about?
Oh, yeah. Go on, Faye. Fitzroy Day.
Oh, that was Fitzroy Day. When Anna McNuff suggests going for a hike, it's not going to be sort of a standard hike.
She ran New Zealand, remember?
Yeah, exactly. I should have remembered that. I was totally up for going to see like the iconic Fitzroy peaks of Patagonia, and this hike was meant to take sort of between 6 and 8 hours. But just as we're setting off, Anna just drops it that the McNuff family tradition is to try and halve the hike time of any given suggested hike. So I was like, oh gosh,
I honestly just thought it was normal. I said it very matter-of-factly. I was like, well, of course we're going to try and half it, right? And Faye was like, what are you talking
That's what
about?
my family does. A family of Olympians. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, right, okay, this is a day off, but here we go. And I was there in my cycling shoes because I'd only brought, my cycling shoes with cleats on the bottom, and so we nailed it, really, didn't we? we hiked up to bottom of the base of Fitzroy, and then ran back down pretty much. But just incredible scenery. But what did we do it in the end? Something like 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. Four. There you go, 4 hours.
But the peaks were amazing. Kurt, I don't know if you know of Fitzroy. It's you probably do. Like they're the peaks that you see in the Patagonia. That the logo is those iconic. That iconic set of peaks, and it's just ridiculous, like a postcard. Honestly, you get up there and there's this beautiful aquamarine coloured lake, and these peaks behind it that just look like a kid has drawn them. Just amazing. And then I think we came back for ice cream and wine, didn't we? And pizza.
Yeah. I must say you absolutely trounced me going up this hill, the last little hill towards the viewing point of Fitzroy. And there were these people going up with, poles and stuff. Anna was skipping up there like a gazelle. It was embarrassing. And I was huffing and puffing behind. But it was a good day. It was a good day off.
Wow, I have looked at those peaks in pictures for many years, and they are iconic. They really stand out to me, and just wow, what a magical place.
They're incredible.
That's it, and it was just I couldn't get my head around the fact that it was just a day hike. It was just a day hike, and you went from sort of semi being able to see them to there they were. The accessibility of it I just thought was amazing.
Well, what about plans for the future? What is on the horizon? What's going to happen next? Anna, you go first.
Yeah, well, I am in a month's time. Well, a month from now, I am leaving to head across Canada unfortunately with a motor this time, in a camper van, with my other half, Jamie McDonald, who is a crazy adventure nutter. We should get him on the show, actually. Well, I'm going to start that campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he ran across Canada when I was doing the 50-state cycle. We didn't know each other then, but he ran across Canada dressed as a superhero, as you do. And so he wrote a book about it, which is coming out. It came out in the UK last year, but is now coming out in Canada and the US. So we're kind of going across on a book tour. But I'll be, and he's doing lots of talks in schools and things, and I'm going to be pitching in and doing talks, community talks in schools and everything where I can as well. But I'm also using it as a bit of a platform I have a book to write about my cycle ride through the 50 states, which has been sitting there half written. So that's next for me. A bit of a road trip and some more writing.
A road trip and some more writing. Any dreams? Okay, go reach farther for me. Any dreams for future adventures that may or may not happen?
Yes, I have a special idea for a running adventure that I think might take a couple of years to pull off. So I'm thinking 2019 for that one. So I'm just fathoming that one out of my head because I think it will require quite a lot of planning. So yes, I'm very excited about that one. So definitely I want to get back to running. I love cycling, but I'm keen to do some more running adventures.
That sounds fun. Faye, what about you?
I think we cycled past Aconcagua, which is it's the highest mountain in the southern hemisphere, and it's a mountain I've wanted to climb since Kilimanjaro. And when we both saw it, we both looked at each other and were like, we've got to get up that mountain at some point. And so Aconcagua really for me is just at the top of my bucket list. Like I would love to climb and summit Aconcagua, I think. And we've agreed, sort of Anna and I, if we ever get the opportunity to do it, we'll do that one together. That will be our peak, our over 6,000 meter peak, hopefully. So yeah, that one's a dream. But the minute I'm sort of focusing on the paramedic path and having my little adventures here and there, but nothing ginormous at the moment.
Well, is it true that Aconcagua is farther from the center of the earth than Everest?
Is it?
I have not heard this rumor. This is scandalous.
That is such a cool fact.
I think it's true. I believe it's true. It's because the earth has the equatorial bulge, right? So from sea level, it's obviously not the highest. But if you look at the center of the earth and the way that the whole earth bulges in the middle, including sea level, then that the top of Aconcagua may actually be farther from the center of the earth than Everest.
Well, that you just added to it now.
Sold.
Yeah.
We've got to go there.
We're going right now.
Well, I've heard that to be true, and I'd like to hear it confirmed, but I've heard that that's true, and that's kind of a cool, lesser-known fact, just because our world is not really a perfect sphere.
I think we're going to have to, Anna and I are going to have to go there and confirm it for you, Kurt.
Yep.
You're welcome to come.
And doesn't that just say everything about life? Our world is not a perfect sphere. What is ever a perfect sphere?
Okay.
Man, you know.
Absolutely. And Anna, you also have something going on new, a not-for-profit organization called Adventure Queens. What is that?
It's my new passion. Because obviously I just thought, how can I cram more into my life? Yeah. It started with a couple of years ago. I started doing some interviews with sort of first time female adventurers because I wanted to get right behind what it is that people go through to go on these journeys. So I don't want to talk about all the people that just do it and say it's amazing. I want to know like what you're scared of. So I did sort of this series of interviews and it was called the Adventure Queens. And then it kind of started to go into, well, what about, rather than just getting people to go on these big journeys, what about little small things? And I thought, well, one of the smallest adventures you can do is a wild camp, you know, go out, sleep on a hill. And so I thought, I know there are a lot of women, especially, that probably would like to go and do that kind of thing, but all they need is a bit of a nudge and a bit of a helping hand. So I just put out this call on my social media and I said, I'm thinking of starting a thing and some advice for some wild camping in the UK for women. You know, anyone interested, what do you think? Sign up here. And I had like 600 people sign up to an email list in 2 days.
Wow.
And I know. And I just thought, I sat back from my computer and I thought, I think I need to do something with this. So I thought, right, I can't run this myself. I don't have enough space in my life. So I called up one of my best friends, Emma, who is the most organised. I mean, I like spreadsheets, but she loves spreadsheets. She's the most organised, incredible woman. And I said, Ems, would you help me run this thing, this whatever this is going to be? And it's just, it's taken off. So it's just a sort of a tribe of women, a community of women going out, enjoying their own back garden and trying to get out wild camping and just enjoy everything that Britain has to offer. And I'm about to launch a dream as well, which is that I'm going to launch my own grant. So I'm launching it this week, the Adventure Queen grant, where we're going to give £1,000 to a girl to go on her first big adventure. So we're just about to open up applications for that. So if there's anyone listening, it doesn't have to be UK based. They can apply for the Adventure Queen grant.
So if I wear, I don't know, a mini skirt, can I apply for the grant?
You look great. That's it. That's absolutely it. Mini skirt and then just some big, I think you need a big curly fro, red.
I can do the curly fro. I should turn the camera on. I've got it going right now.
That's it.
Actually do need a haircut. I would like to throw the word out there too about Sarah Williams and her Tough Girl podcast. I know, Anna, you've been on that. Yeah. Faye, I don't know if you have or not, but
no, I've listened to it though.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it because for all of our female listeners out there, she interviews people like Anna and Faye a lot, and it's very encouraging. So you're a lady who is interested in adventure. It's very encouraging on how to kick your butt out the door and get going. So it's a really great one.
Oh.
Yeah, and Kurt, can we just thank you for providing us with hours and hours and hours of entertainment in South America? Honestly, we binge listened the whole way along. We did. It's just brilliant.
No, I'm sorry.
Swap. Yeah,
we totally did, and then we'd compare notes at the end of each podcast. Yeah. We'd be like, "Oh my gosh, what did you think of this?" It was brilliant. A saviour, actually, in many instances. So yeah, nice one, and thank you.
Well, I'm glad that I was on the trip. I had no idea, but now that I know, I feel better.
Yeah, you were fine because you live at altitude. You didn't even feel it. That's why.
Oh, that's fun. Well, I do hope that the Adventure Sports podcast can encourage other people to get out there and have some fun. I mean, that's what we always say, right? That's what it's all about. So
definitely,
I'm glad that it was a resource that didn't wear you down too much.
We loved it. It
inflated us.
Oh, that's great. Well, we are running about out of time. Any last notes that we have to cover before we call it a night?
Not from me. I think that's everything.
No, it's all good. That's all good. Thank you ever so much. I've had a great time.
I've had a blast.
You are more than welcome, and I would love to hear more about South America and about your trip. But like I said, we are running out of time. So thank you very much, Anna McNuff and Faye Shepherd. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you. Cheers.
Oh, you bet. And for all of our listeners out there, it's like I always say, get out there and have some fun.
Coming up on Thursday's episode, Jen's Jacob Anderson is here to talk about running shoes, and the 20 highest ridges in northern Norway. Until then, visit our Patreon page and get out there and have some fun.